But I've got another email here from poor old Sheepy, who's the kid who emailed us earlier and said that he's got a maths exam, and he said, please can you tell Justine and Paul to go home and return to this studio in 2 weeks, then I can listen to the show all the way through. But
I'm actually really good at maths. Tell him to email me some...
Are you?
Yeah, I can help him.
Yeah. That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Justine, she's hot with an abacus.
Yeah, absolutely.
There you go, Sheepy. Yeah. So, what was I going to say to you? What I wanted to talk to you about, really, was how it feels to be in Elastica now, I suppose. Do you think that the passion is still there?
Yeah, if it wasn't, I wouldn't do it. I think we want to keep it interesting and exciting for ourselves, and we already decided that if it doesn't feel that way, we're just going to stop, you know, clean break. And I think last time round, we went through a very long period of time of it not feeling fresh and just carried on. And we should have just gone, all right, let's just stop, you know, and walk away from it and have a holiday or do whatever. But I think it's just soul-destroying if you kind of keep plodding on and it's not feeling good. I think, you know, like anything, it goes up and down, really. You know, you have your weeks of thinking this is the best thing in the world, and your weeks thinking, what the hell am I doing? But I think that's true of anything, really.
Yeah, it's really extraordinary, isn't it? Because you seem you tend to find, and you seem to read a lot these days, that bands are kind of yearning for the heady days of their youth, and you know, the kind of tiny gigs that they did when they could still see the whites of people's eyeballs, and what it felt like to be an original lineup, and you know, just the intoxication of a first time, if you like, you know. But I mean, you've entirely reinvented Elastica, haven't you? And I suppose, do you still yearn for that, though? Do you still kind of think
I don't yearn for the original lineup at all, to be honest. I mean, I think when the band got quite big, quite unexpectedly, really, the first time round, I found myself in a position where I was playing places bigger than I felt comfortable with. And I did yearn for sort of seeing the whites of people's eyes, but you know, obviously this time round, it is like a new thing. We are playing smaller places again. It does feel, you know, more containable, and it does feel quite fresh. It feels like we're starting off again, you know. And I think it's just basically going to be important for us to sort of keep writing and keep changing, because the last thing I want to do is be, you know, end up being a sort of covers band of our you know, first record. And I think, you know, there is that danger of, you know, playing places and playing the old hits and people go mad and stuff, and you just do need to sort of move on, really.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it just seems the most bizarre thing at the moment. I think that's really why Oasis have fallen apart. You know, so I mean, you look at the situation that they're in now, and what they're doing seems to be so far removed from where they started from, almost. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like they can't reconcile it in their own minds at all.
Well, I think, you know, they were in an unusual position just with what happened to them. I think very quickly after they started, they were almost in a position where, you know, they got a lot more than they bargained for, and I don't know, I think with something like that, you're just bound to run out of steam. I mean, how can you deal with that much success that quickly? I think, you know, they were so up for it, and they still got to a point where they just obviously thought, can't handle this anymore. And especially in Britain, when you get that kind of tabloid interest, when you get a bit over a certain size, I just think, you know, people sort of can't live their lives anymore, and all the things that kind of, you know, make up the kind of person that wanted to be in a band in the first place usually does kind of dissolve, really. So I'm not really that surprised at all what's happened to Oasis. If anything, I think they've kept it together for, you know, much longer than they could have done, really.
Do you think they can survive it, though, now that Noel's turned around and said, I'm not going back on the road at all, ever?
I'm really not an Oasis expert. I've got no idea. But, I mean, I can't see it going on much longer. I'm sure they're getting that feeling, like, you know, that there's basically a covers band of their old hits. And I think when that starts happening, you have to sort of go, all right, let's look at this, we've got to do something else.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, isn't it? Because you just think there must have been some part of you, I suppose, that kept the embers burning across that really sort of desolate 5-year period. There was something there at the core of your soul, you know, something still burning away to make you want to continue on, really.
Yeah, absolutely. There's something in me that needs to be in a band and make a racket, you know, and Justin... inflicting his drums on me, and you know, there's something in me that I don't know how to kind of express without being in a band, and I think that's kind of the bug I've got, you know, that's the bug I've caught and I have to just sort of deal with. But, you know, I think that's the thing, once you've been in a band, I've walked away from being in a band so many times. I did it with Suede and, you know, and then just thought, I can't handle this. I've got to make a racket twice a week.
Oh.
Whatever it is.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, let's play another tune. What's this one we're going to play?
This is yours.
It's Little Kim.
Oh, it is Little Kim.
Got it going on.
It is Little Kim.
Going on.
Yeah.
I bet she doesn't calorie count either.
No.
Although she's big into her sit-ups.
She's hard, though, isn't she? She's hard as nails.
She is. She's great.
Yeah. She's probably too busy down the nail bar, actually, to be buggering around with sandwiches, isn't she?
True.
Yeah. Here she is, then, Little Kim. So Paul from Elastica there was just drifting away,
Lo-fi
eyes
heaven.
closed.
Oh, I love that.
I was busy inserting the record and you couldn't hear me.
No, yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah,
Got punched.
full.
I'm a fool.
Yeah, full.
Yeah. I just don't understand.
That's Blonde Redhead. And they played on Saturday night at a garage. And that's one of the best gigs I've seen for ages.
Really?
It was brilliant.
Paul, much as I don't wish to sort of interrupt this blissful state that you've managed to achieve in the last 3 minutes, can you just move a little bit closer to the microphone? That would be
You're
lovely.
so laid back.
Laid back.
So, emails. We've got one here from Alex James. I don't know if it's
Not
the
me.
Alex James. We think it's possibly a Alex James, but it begins, I am annoyed. So I don't
it could
know.
be.
Could well be. But apparently this Alex is saying that he managed to miss Elastica twice and then goes into a very elaborate and relatively tedious description of said events. But the upshot of which is that he wants to know when you're playing next, because he says he always finds out in the aftermath that a gig has actually taken place. So I would imagine you're doing festivals this year,
Yeah,
aren't
we're
you?
doing Glastonbury and we're doing Reading, so he's got ample choice.
And if you're doing Reading, you're going to be doing Leeds as well, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he based in Leeds? Alex is based in Leeds.
Alex, where are you? I think he's probably in Covent Garden myself. That's just a guess. Possibly at the Groucho. Who knows? And then we have a very insistent emailer here, Malcolm, who's sent about 20 emails through already saying, are Elastica going to play any Welsh dates in capital letters?
I'm actually really surprised that we didn't on this tour. I don't know why we didn't. It's weird, but we didn't.
Newport would have been good.
Newport,
Yeah.
hopefully we will. Nothing planned, I'm afraid.
Nothing yet.
No.
Okay. Malcolm, you're going to have to hang fire,
Played
mate.
Bristol, I think that was probably the closest. Did we play Bristol?
No, we
didn't.
didn't.
We didn't even play Bristol. There you go.
Gloucester, I think.
Gloucester. Is that near? That's not near Wales, is it?
Near enough.
All right. Sorry, geography, not.
It's a disaster.
good.
Stick to your maths.
Yeah.
So, how did it feel when you played this tour? Did you feel a degree of sort of playing to a brand new generation of Elastica fans who'd actually...
When we played when?
When you played sort of on the
On the
last
tour?
yeah, after The Menace came out, did you feel that sensation of looking at sort of a whole new generation? There must be, mustn't there?
It's weird because there are still quite a lot of quite young kids at the front, and doing your maths, you just think, well, you'd have been 11 or something last time round, so it's hard to believe
Yeah.
that they're not new. But I don't know, I mean, maybe they got into it through an older brother or sister, or, you know, it's hard to tell, really.
Yeah. Orbit will always say the funniest thing in the world. They say, like, it's the dads who bring their children now to their gigs, and they said it's really funny. You look down the front and it's a load of kind of bald pates and grey-haired old men just going for it, you know, with their little sons on their shoulders.
Must be like Duran.
Don't be mean about Duran. They're great.
But tell us about this American deal, because you're about to sign a new one, aren't you?
Yeah, we are, and I don't want to jinx it by saying exactly who it is, but we're hoping to sign it within the next 2 weeks, actually, and we're hoping to get the album out in America in August. So, yeah, hopefully that should be any day now.
That's really exciting,
Yeah.
isn't it? Did you feel quite betrayed by Geffen? Because they did sort of like pull the plugs, just literally, or it seemed like it was days before the album was due to be released.
Well, no, they didn't, actually. To be fair, they'd been taken over by Interscope quite a long time before, and everyone we'd worked with had been sacked. We didn't know anyone at the company. We had 3 different A&R people that all got sacked one after the other over a period of a year. And then in the summer last year, I told our manager to phone them up and say that we wanted to re-record the album. And at that point, they just went, yeah, whatever, see ya. And I was actually really happy that they did, because I felt like we weren't going to be given a fair chance on Interscope because they hadn't signed us. We'd just been passed over. You know, they weren't really interested. And I just thought there's not a lot of point unless we can actually get someone who is into the stuff and, you know, wants to sign us. Because especially with American record companies, with British bands, you know, you do hear real horror stories. And you hear stories that people, you know, don't want to pass on a band in case someone else has success with them. So I actually thought they were pretty fair letting us go.
So you just decided to play the total pain in the arse tactic?
Yeah, basically, in true form.
Celebrated on that day.
Yeah, no, we did.
Celebrated down the fortress, yeah.
But you know, I felt like the band had gelled, and we'd done the Reading dates, and we'd done some gigs around it, and I just felt like the band was sounding really good and fresh, and the stuff we were playing from the album sounded fresher live than it did what we had on tape. So I just thought the only way all that material is going to sound cohesive is if we go back in and just do it really quick, spend the last 10 grand and do it in 6 weeks, and we did, and I'm really glad we did.